Allies are turning on Donald Trump over Ukraine, and fast. Does this mean the end is near? We should be so lucky. Welcome to Occupy Democrats. I'm David Reddish. The nation of Ukraine is a subject on the lips of every American observer this week. The country, which was invaded by Russia in 2022, has fought tooth and nail to maintain its sovereignty, even defeating Russia's initial invasion forces. Russia, however, with the help of allies like North Korea, isn't letting up. With Donald Trump's return to the White House, the future of Ukraine remains in jeopardy. Though United States allies, through NATO, have vowed to continue to support Ukraine with humanitarian and military aid, Trump wants to cede the country and its considerable mineral, energy, and agricultural resources to Russian control. At the time of this broadcast, Trump and Putin are meeting in Saudi Arabia without any other NATO allies present and without any representatives of Ukraine to discuss an end to the war. The talks, in case you haven't heard, were a disaster before they even began, with Trump and his moonshine-loving Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth making certain concessions before even speaking with the Russians. In other words, yes, the situation is that bad. Doubling down on his love of Putin and Russia, Trump said this in a press conference yesterday.
And I think it's going very well. But today I heard, well, we weren't invited. Well, you've been there for 3 years. You should have ended it 3 years. You should have never started it. You could have made a deal. I could have made a deal for Ukraine that would have given them almost all of the land, everything, almost all of the land, and no people would have been killed, and no city would have been demolished, and not one dome would have been knocked down. But they chose not to do it that way. And President Biden, in all fairness, he doesn't have a clue. What he was so bad.
No wonder Trump's allies are dropping faster than the value of Trump coin. Not content to spread the lie that Ukraine had started the war, remember this country was invaded, does Trump really think that resisting invasion is suddenly starting a war? It's crazy, but what do you expect from him at this point? Not content to rest on his lie about Ukraine starting the war, Trump posted a lengthy tweet today doubling down on the assertion. It reads, in part, "Think of it. A modestly successful comedian, Volodymyr Zelensky, talked the United States of America into spending $350 billion to go into a war that couldn't be won, that never had to start, but a war that he, without the U.S. and Trump, will never be able to settle. A dictator without elections, Zelensky better move fast or he is not going to have a country left. In the meantime, we are successfully negotiating an end to the war with Russia, something all admit only Trump and the Trump administration can do." While ignorant MAGA Trumpers cheer over abandoning Ukraine as a way to save money, which is also nonsense, other more informed Republican figures have started to come forward to denounce Trump, Hegseth, and their total incompetence. That includes Trump's first vice president, Mike Pence. For more details on that, see our other videos here on the channel. Most recently, however, new critics include General Jack Keane. In case you're unfamiliar, Keane has a storied 37-year career in the United States military, serving as Vice Chief of Staff for the Army from 1999 to 2003. Despite retiring in 2003, he became a close advisor to George W. Bush during the height of the Iraq insurgency. He also co-founded the company IP3 International, which has been selling nuclear technology to Saudi Arabia. If that makes you feel better. Donald Trump presented Keane with the Presidential Medal of Freedom in 2020, a decoration that makes Keane's words today all the more gobsmacking. In an interview with Fox News, Keane did not hold back about his opinion of Trump or Trump's handling of Ukraine. Check this out.
He says that Zelensky has a 4% approval rating. The numbers that we have seen are more in the 50% range, north of 50% range. And he's criticizing Zelensky for not holding elections. Now, clearly, this is something that Russia would like to see happen because they would love to get a Yanukovych or somebody who, is much more favorable to Russia into that seat. Is the president undermining the election process? And can an election take place in the middle of this war at all, General?
Well, a couple of things. Yeah, Zelensky's polling as of February this month is 57% favorable. It was 52 in December. I mean, it was in the 90s in 22 when the war started. But obviously, he got very favorable ratings. Look at the Constitution that Ukraine has prohibits elections when you declare martial law because of a state of war takes place. And obviously, the incumbent who is trying to run a war to be involved in an election and bringing people together in primaries and other elections puts the people at risk. There's two other parts of that martial law. If you're 18 to 60 years of age and a male, you can't leave the country. And also they're curbing civil liberties, particularly freedom of movement, by curfews in the contested areas. So that the fact that their constitution is driving this, the parliament, bipartisan support for all the extensions they've had to the martial law. So they are acting democratically, in my judgment, in abiding by their constitution, and also the parliament is supporting it, which represents the people throughout the country. These are democratic actions taking place in a democratic country. I don't believe we should try and push elections on Zelensky during the middle of this war. I think if there is a peace agreement, I think Zelensky and others and the people themselves will demand an election, and it would likely take place assuming the peace agreement has some real legs to it.
Okay.
Thank you, General Keane, for being honest. I have a feeling I'd probably disagree with that man on many issues, but the future of Ukraine is not one of them. Russia and Vladimir Putin are an imminent threat to the United States, and ceding control of Ukraine to Russia only strengthens Putin, which again begs the omnipresent question: why does Trump love Putin and Russia more than he loves the country he's purported to lead? Theories on this range from Trump just loving macho strongmen to Putin having blackmail information on Trump. But here's another, one first brought to my attention by Massachusetts Representative Jake Auchincloss. Remember Trump Coin, the NFT Trump launched on January 17th just before returning to Washington? Melania Trump also has one of her own. Remember how it lost most of its value within a matter of days? Consider something a moment. There is no transparency when it comes to cryptocurrency. It has little government oversight, which, in essence, makes it a permanent under-the-table channel for money. How far-fetched would it be for Russia or Putin to funnel massive amounts of money to Trump via Trump Coin? Would that not account for the NFT soaring in value when it first hit the market, only to crater within days? For that matter, who's to say that Trump isn't getting money from other foreign powers, like China or Iran? Who's to say big tech isn't giving him money in hopes they can control Ukraine's resources as part of the peace talks? No wonder the GOP is finally turning on Trump. Here's hoping that in the war between Ukraine and Russia, Trump finally comes out the biggest loser. This is Occupy Democrats.